Good afternoon and welcome, councillors and the public. Joining me in the council chambers is Ms. Thompson, CAO, Ms. Tufo, City Clerk, and a special welcome to Chris Bantic, our new Deputy Clerk, and I'm going to invite Mr. Bantic forward to say a few words.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor Ritzma. It's great to be here. I'm excited to be joining the clerk's team, and it's great to meet you all virtually. Thanks.
Thank you, Chris, and a special welcome from council and from the residents of Stratford. So at this time, I'm going to call the meeting to order. Mayor Matheson provides regrets due to a family commitment. And at this time also, I'd like you to perhaps pause for reflection. Perhaps we can think about staff and students that are returning to school after a period of time away due to COVID. So just a moment of reflection. Thank you. Next item is the declarations of pecuniary interest or general nature thereof. Seeing none. Over to item number 3, adoption of the minutes. And we need a mover for the adoption of the minutes from August the 24th, 2020. A mover to adopt those as printed. Moved by Councillor Gaffney, second by Councillor Vasilakos. Any discussion or comments? Seeing none, all in favor? And that's unanimous. Thank you. Item number 4, adoption of the addenda. There is no addenda for today's meeting. Moving down to item number 5, report of the Committee of the Whole in-camera session. 5.1 at the August 31st, 2020 session under Municipal Act 2001 as amended, a matter concerning the following item was considered. Personal matters about an identifiable individual, including municipal employees or local board members, and litigation or potential litigation, including matters before administrative tribunals affecting the municipality or local board, and advice that is subject to solicitor-client privilege, including communications necessary for that purpose. And the at that in-camera session, direction was given. In today's in-camera, September the 14th in-camera session under the Municipal Act 2001 as amended, matters concerning the following items were considered. 1, security of municipal property of the municipality or local board. Second item, advice that is subject to solicitor-client privilege, including communications necessary for that purpose, and personal matters about an identifiable individual, including municipal employees or local board employees, and litigation or potential litigation, including matters before administrative tribunals affecting the municipality or local boards. And direction was given for all of these items. Item number 6, hearings and deputations. We did have a request from Ms. Kirkham to be heard regarding ZCA Z11-19 for 173 Huron Street. And I'm just wondering if Ms. Kirkham is available. And through the clerk, she is not available, so we'll move forward from that item. Moving on then to item 7, orders of the day. Resolution, encroachment application for 2-6 Ontario Street. And there is a staff recommendation that the application be approved for the existing encroachments by the owner of 2-6 Ontario Street to permit the front and southeast corner of the building encroaching onto Ontario Street road allowance, the decorative fascia on the south side of the building encroaching onto Ontario Street Road allowance, the eaves at the north of the building encroaching onto York Street Road allowance, and the retaining wall encroaching on the Huron Street Road allowance for the total of 15.6 meters squared or 167.9 feet squared. And that the annual fee of $762.27 adjusted yearly by the CPI be added to the property tax for 2-6 Ontario Street. A mover for that? Moved by Councillor Ingram, second by Councillor Beattie. Any discussion? Councillor Gaffney.
Thank you, Your Worship. Through you, could I just ask how we come to the $762.27 as a starting point?
Miss Biernes, are you online? Perhaps you can address that.
Actually, I will see if the clerk can answer that question.
Ms. Defoe.
Through you, Deputy Mayor Ritzma, staff in the engineering department take the square footage and they come to the calculation that is before you today, and then it is adjusted yearly by the CPI.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Defoe. Thank you, Councillor Gaffney. Any other questions or comments before I call the question? Seeing none, all in favor? Opposed, if any, and that's unanimous. Moving down to item 7.2, resolution 2019 status update, multi-year accessibility plan. And there is a staff recommendation that the 2019 status update, City of Stratford, 2018 to 2022 multi-year accessibility plan be received, and that the 2019 status update be posted to the city website. A mover for that, Councillor Henderson, will move, and second by Councillor Vasilakos. Councillor Henderson, question?
I just want to comment it. I hope people take the time to read the report, and in there you'll see everything that was done last year and what we're working on in the city to make our city more accessible for everybody.
Thank you, Councillor Henderson. Any other comments before we call the question? Seeing none, all in favor? Opposed, if any? That's unanimous and that's carried. Thank you. Moving down to item 7.3, resolution, parking restriction in access aisle between accessible parking spaces. And there is a staff recommendation that no parking signage be installed in the access aisle between the accessible parking spaces. A mover for that motion. Moved by Councillor Vasilakos, second by Councillor Henderson. Thank you. Questions or comments? Seeing none, I will call the question. All in favor? Opposed, if any, and that's unanimous. Thank you. Moving down to item 7.4, Movies Under the Stars, Parking Lot Edition 2020 extension. And once again, there is a staff recommendation that Movies Under the Stars Parking Lot Edition organizers be permitted to use the Cooper parking lot and the Grand Trunk Community Center for drive-in screening and events as follows. Every Thursday, Friday, and Saturday evening from Thursday, September the 17th, 2020 to Saturday, October the 31st, 2020 from 6:30 p.m. to 11 p.m. Is there a mover for that motion? Moved by Councillor Ingram, second by Councillor Bunting. Discussion. Councillor Clifford and then Councillor Vasilakos.
Yeah, I was going to ask if it's cold in October, like we have an idling bylaw. Like I'm just curious how it's going to be monitored if people are turning on their cars to keep them warm.
Okay, I'm going to ask Ms. Defoe to come forward to speak to that. Oh, I thank you very much. So Allison and Ms. Jordan, are you available?
I am, yes.
Could you address that question?
Absolutely. So organizers would have to abide by the existing bylaw for the idling. So they would encourage attendees to bring blankets and cover up, layer up, similar to what they've done in previous years for outdoor movies in the square when they've had colder weather.
Thank you, Ms. Jordan. Councillor Vasilakos.
I had a question about funding for the project. So there isn't really a financial impact to the city directly because, as noted in the report, but it does say that there's financial support from the task force. I know the task force and the FedDev had given the project $20,000 originally. Are there additional funds coming from the task force recovery and FedDev for this extension?
Ms. Jordan, are you available, or can you respond to that?
Yes, through you, Deputy Mayor Ritzma. The task force has volunteers and staff that they have helped with the Movie Under the Stars organizers. All of the structures are already in place, so there's no additional funding there. We've been told that they're able to cover this off with their original funding that they're extending.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Councillor Burback.
Thank you. Just a comment. We usually have the Community Recognition Awards every year run by the City of Stratford. And I'm just wondering, just a thought for staff, if we could possibly use that space to do the Community Recognition Awards this year. Just a thought.
Thank you. And I see that the clerk is recording that. Thank you very much. Any other comments? Seeing none, I will call the question. All in favor? Opposed, if any, and that's unanimous. Moving down to item 7.5, resolution, vacancy rebate program reinstatement. Staff recommendation that the request to reinstate the vacancy rebate program be filed and no further action be taken. Mover, Councillor Gaffney, second by Councillor Clifford. Discussion. Seeing none, call the question. All in favor? And opposed, if any, and that's unanimous. Moving down to item number 8, business for which previous notice has been given and none has been scheduled. Report of the Standing Committee, and 9.1 is a report of the Planning and Heritage Committee, and I'm going to ask Ms. Defoe to come forward and speak to this item.
Through you, Deputy Mayor Ritzma. On the agenda, there is a motion that was passed at the August 24th Planning and Heritage Committee meeting. Following that meeting, staff reviewed the permits that remain open, and presently there is only one open permit, which is number 2017-104771, and it cannot be finalized until the grading issue is resolved. The appropriate staff person who can clear the permit is the chief building official. And staff also consulted the city solicitor, who advised a holding provision requiring work and open permits to be completed can only be added for those permits that are open prior to the adoption of a bylaw amending the zoning bylaw. Given this additional information, staff recommend amending the committee motion as follows to ensure the holding provision is clear for council, staff, the public, and the applicant. And through you, Deputy Mayor, I'll just read the motion. That the zoning of 173 Huron Street be changed from a mixed-use residential zone to a mixed-use residential zone special be approved for the following reasons. The request is consistent with the provincial policy statement. The request is in conformity with the goals, objectives, and policies of the official plan. The zone change will provide for development that is appropriate for the lands. The public was consulted during the zone change circulation, and comments that have been received in writing or at the public meeting have been reviewed, considered, and analyzed within the planning report. And that a holding provision be applied to the lands requiring all work under building permit 2017-104771 to be completed and inspected, subject to the satisfaction of the chief building official, and the building permit file is closed. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Discussions around the motion that was read. Seeing none, is there a mover for that motion? Moved by Councillor Vasilakos, second by Councillor Ingram. Any other discussion? Councillor Sept.
Yeah, I just wanted to reiterate my comments from the previous meeting. You know, it's a pretty layered issue. For me, it really comes down to the precedent that this may set, given an application to zone for a triplex was declined not so long ago in 2016. So I'll be opposing the motion.
Thank you, Councillor Sept. Councillor Henderson.
I just want a clarification on that. My understanding was when it was coming back to council that it was withdrawn by the original owner, and then somebody new bought it.
And
then I'm trying to remember now, I think that's when it got denied to come back, or he decided just to come back as and build a 2, and with the possibility of sometime in the future maybe making it a 3. Is that how that event went? I'm just trying to remember exactly.
I'm looking to the clerk here, and I believe that's correct. Madam Clerk, do you want to come forward again? Mr. Deluvic, are you on the line?
Yes, through you, Deputy Mayor, I am. As I understand it, that there was, as noted in the planning report, the applicant did withdraw their application, the previous applicant.
Councillor Sept.
Yeah, I just wanted to, just for extra clarification, it was withdrawn before it came to council, but it was, says it was refused by the Planning and Heritage Committee prior to that. So.
Thank you. Any other discussion prior to calling the question? Councillor Vasilakos?
I was just wanted to thank staff for doing the extra work to clarifying the outstanding permits and who was responsible for closing them out.
Thank you, Councillor Vasilakos. Any further discussion before I call the question? Seeing none, I will call the question. All in favor? Opposed, if any? And 2 opposed, and that motion is carried. Thank you. Moving along to notices of intent, none scheduled. Reading of the bylaws. And the following bylaws require first and second, third and final reading, and could be taken collectively upon unanimous vote of council. And they are 11.1, encroachment agreement for 6 Ontario Street. 11.2, contribution agreement for the Connecting Links program. And 11.3 is the amendment to the zoning bylaw 201-2000. And those items can be taken collectively. Mover for that, Councillor Sept, will you move?
Can I take 11.3 separate, please?
Yes, you can. Thank you. So a mover to take 11.1 and 11.2 unanimously. Moved by Councillor Ingram, second by Councillor Henderson. All in favor? And that's unanimous. So first and second reading on 11.1 and 11.2. Moved by Councillor Vasilakos, second by Councillor Sept. All in favor? And that's unanimous. And a third and final reading for 11.1 and 11.2, moved by Councillor Gaffney, second by Councillor Beattie. All in favor? And that's unanimous. Moving on to 11.3, a mover for first and second time on that. Councillor Clifford will move and Councillor Ingram will second for first and second reading. All in favor? Opposed, if any? 2 opposed. And third and final reading, moved by Councillor Bunting, second by Councillor Henderson. All in favor? Opposed, if any? 2 opposed, thank you. Moving down to the consent agenda. Are there any items on the consent agenda that Councillor wishes to address? Seeing none. New business. Any items of new business? I have one, and I'm going to lead this or direct this to Director Deluvic. Can you possibly give an update on the status of the sidewalk or possible multi-use trail between Graff Avenue and McCarthy Road?
Yes, through the Deputy Mayor. In order to construct that sidewalk along there, there is a piece of property that needs to be purchased. We have developed a reference plan for it. It just needs to be deposited. And then the next steps would be to negotiate with the property owner to buy those lands. It's only one property owner. It's the back of their yard, and then this purchase will allow us to line up with all the other properties that are in that along that section between McCarthy, between McCarthy and Graff.
Excellent. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Okay, that moves us down to our last item, a confirmatory bylaw. So a mover for the first and second reading of the confirmatory bylaw, Councillor Burbach and Councillor Vasilakos will move that for the first and second time. All in favor? And that's unanimous. And the third and final passing, Councillor Sept and Councillor Beatty. All in favor? And that's unanimous. And a motion to adjourn this meeting and to acknowledge that our next meeting is September the 20th. Next scheduled regular council meeting is the 28th of September 2020. Moved by Councillor Burbach. To adjourn, second by Councillor Vasilakos. All in favor? And that's unanimous. Thank you, everybody. We're adjourned.